Hi everyone, this is Ur, and in this video we will implement a username and password authentication in Next.js 14 app directory using Lucia, which is a great library, but it might be a bit challenging, but I'm sure that it is easier than Next.auth. We will use TypeScript, Zod library, ShadCN, Tailwind, PostgreSQL as a database, and as a ORM, we will use Drizzle ORM. So let's see the demo. I have a user created here, and we check if password is right. Once we logged in, we are redirected to a protected route. If I sign out, we can see that I can go back, and I have also sign up page that I can create accounts. If I create accounts, I redirect it to protected route. Today we will learn how to do it. So let's get right into it. First of all, let's create a brand new Next.js 14 app. I will go to its official website and we can simply copy this code here. And I will open up a new terminal. Navigate to my documents and paste the comment here. It will ask bunch of questions. Let's say Lucia Auth for the project name, and I will just simply select the defaults. Okay, our Next.js application is installed. I will type code and Lucia Auth to open up Visual Code. I can now open a new terminal and run npm run dev command, and our Next.js app runs at 3000. Perfect. Now let's go to Lucia's website here. Before we go into deep, I want to talk about Lucia a bit. It's an out library for your server that abstracts away the complexity of handling sessions. Many people arguing about Next.auth nowadays, and people complain about the abstractions that they made is too much and no one understands their docs. So even though Lucia does some kind of abstractions, but it is not much as Next.auth does. And the documentation is clearer. Even though they say they have plus 100 contributors, when we follow this link and go to their contributors, we say that almost every lines of this package code is written by the owner of the repository on paper. So it really depends on one person right now. And if you don't like this, it's totally understandable, and you can just wait a little bit more to get more popular and get some contributors. But I really believe that Lucia has a lot of potential and it will gain some popularity as time passes. And it has 6.3K stars right now, which is a good sign. Lastly, I want to mention that Lucia provides session-based authorization. So no JWT token here, but we may talk about the difference between a token-based authentication and session-based authentication in another video. Let's get started with Lucia. I will click getting started here, and we will need to install Lucia and Oslo package. Oslo is a third-party package that is implemented by the same person who implemented Lucia, whereas it is not required. It is recommended. So let's install this. I will open a new terminal here and paste. Okay, it is installed. Now they say you need to initialize Lucia, and the given example works with SQLite, but we will use PostgreSQL. So they have a database section. Let's go to there, and they say a database needs to have an adapter. As you can see, it is adapter for SQLite, and we will use Drizzle ORM, and let's go to there. And now they say you need to install this. I copy it and paste it here. It is installed, but I forgot to mention something. Since we are using Next.js 14 with turbo support, we need to add a configuration into our Next.js config file. I will simply look at Next.js app router and copy this webpack object here and go to next config file and paste it here. If we don't put it here, Oslo package will throw an webpack error. Okay, now we are done that, and we have installed adapter, Drizzle adapter. And now I would like to go to Drizzle ORM's website and install the necessary packages. I will go to documentation, and from here, I will click on PostgreSQL, and we will select Node Postgres. I will copy it and paste it in my terminal. After that, I will navigate to drizzle-kit, and here we need to add a new configuration file. drizzle-config.ts. I will create a new file, drizzle-config.ts, and paste it here. As you can see, it gets a connection string, which is point to process env db URL, and we don't have that yet. So let's create an env file in the root directory and give a URL to it. It's for now an empty string. Warning is still there because it complained about the env might be undefined. Let's put an exclamation to say that it is a string, and we know that. And the warning is gone. Now everything seems okay. Let's go back to Lucia's website. In database Drizzle ORM's page, we will see they have an example PostgreSQL. So they initialize a database object and also define their scheme, and they initialize an adapter here. What I'll do is copy all of them and go back to my application. I will create a lib folder, and inside it I will create another folder called db, and then I will create an index.ts file here and paste all the things I have copied. This will take some params. As you can see, it gets a client. We can either define a single client connection or pool, which is preferred if you send frequent requests. So that's fine. But in this pool object, it also gets an configuration, as you may see. So if I take a look at here, it has also connection string, and we will just give the same URL, and we are done. And we are defining some tables here, user table and session table, and an adapter here. So we can split the logic here. Let's move this into another file and export our db from this file. I will create a new file called schema.ts. I will paste the code I have copied from the previous file, and I will grab the import from there and paste it in schema.ts. Everything seems fine, and let's export adapter from here, and we will import db, and everything seems fine. And it's better to separate the files, which schemas are defined in another file and database is define another file. Right now, user table has only ID field. In our case, we will need to have a username and a password. Let's call it hash password. We also want to support Google login, so I will say Google ID as well. Since someone logs in with Google, it won't have an hash password. So let's remove this not null here. That's enough for user table for now. We exported this adapter is because we will use it to initialize Lucia. So let's go to lib and create a new file called auth.ts and go back to Lucia's website and copy this code here. It initializes a new adapter here, but we don't need it. So we have already defined our adapter and we are just importing it. Let's create a PostgreSQL database. I won't use a cloud service for setting up a PostgreSQL, but I will use Docker to set up a local PostgreSQL container, and I will give that URL here. But if you use external services like Railway or Neon, and they will give you a database URL, you can just simply put that in here. And if you want to create a container, we can create a PostgreSQL database with this command. We will say docker run, and it will run in the background. So we'll pass a D for daemon, and we will give a name. It will be our container name. Let's say Postgres DB, and we will pass an environment variable, which will be Postgres password. Let's call it my secret password, and we will map the port from 5432 to 5432, and we want Postgres image. When I run this command, I see that a container is set up. I can actually see that here. Our database is running, and DB URL will be this one. So we are using a PostgreSQL connection, and the username is Postgres. Password is my secret password, and it runs at localhost 5432, and database name is Postgres. Perfect. Then we can go to package.json. We will add some scripts here, db push and db studio. This will push our schemas into database and create the tables. And this will open up a local nice UI to see our tables. So let's run db push now. Okay, we get an error. It says no schema files found. Okay, let's see where do we give this. It's in Drizzle config.ts, and our schema.ts is actually in applib.db. So let's change this. I go to Drizzle config and I will add applib and schema.ts is there. Let's try to run db push again. Okay, I forgot to add db here. When I run it again, it says no changes detected. It's weird, but let's run npm run db studio and it gives a URL like this. Let's open it up and I don't see anything. Okay, so it says cannot read properties of undefined tables. Get tables by schema is not working. And one reason might be when we look at schema.ts, we see that our tables are not public. It's a decision that Drizzle made, so we need to those exported in file. So if I run npm run db push again, you see that now they took our tables and turned it into SQL statements, and they say, do you want to really run this? I will say yes, and changes are applied. So let's run db studio once more. Once I refresh, I see that our user table is there and session table is there as well. Perfect. We are done initializing the database. So we can move on to create pages. I will create a pages folder that is in brackets, which will make things easier to understand. And I will create a sign up folder here and create a file page.tsx. I have exported sign up page and let's go to localhost 3000 and go to sign up. And we see that sign up here. I won't implement whole page here, but I have this code that I have written earlier. And let's comment this out. And you will see we have a page that has a logo and a title. So let's implement this sign up form. I will create a components folder and create a component sign.tsx. Perfect. Then I can just revert this and import sign up form here. So we are now seeing our form here. For the form, we will use ShadCN. So let's go to ShadCN's website and go to docs, installation, Next.js. So start from step 2, open up a new terminal here and paste this command. I will say yes to everything. Okay, we are installing the dependencies and it is done. For this project, we will add a form, button, input, and toast components. It's installed. So let's go to components and find form here. And we will just simply copy this example. Okay, it says usage. Okay, first of all, let's copy this, go to sign up form and put that here. And then we are defining a form. I think we can copy this and paste here and import use form and road resolver. Perfect. Lastly, let's import necessary components, button, form, and input. We have already installed them. And this is a very basic component that is given as an example. So let's take a look at what we have. Okay, we have a label, an input, and a description. So let's get rid of the description. We don't need it. Perfect. But we need to have two more fields, one for password, another for confirm password. Before changing them, we will need to edit the form schema. Okay, we will add a password field, which will be a string, and let's give minimum 8 characters, and then give a message. Password must be at least 8 characters long, and let's add a password as well. We are done with that. We also need to be sure that confirm password is same as password. So we will call refine function and it will get a parameter that is the form we have, and we need to be sure that data password is equals to data confirm password. And it also takes a configuration parameter that we can actually give a message, and we need to also define a path so that this message will be seen in this field. We will see in a bit. So we define our schema and we will need to give default values and just give empty strings. So now we can edit our form fields. This one will be password, and we will say password. For placeholder, I will just put asterisk here, and type will be password. So second one will be confirm password, and placeholder will be again some asterisks. Type will be password as well. Go back to our app. As you can see, we have a basic form here. Their spacing seems a bit off to me. I will just change it to 2. It's better. I can click on submit, as you can see, and we get some errors. And if I type some password, you can see password do not match. Perfect. So everything seems nice, but I like having schemas in a file. That's why I will create a new folder in app directory called types, and I will have an index.ts there. Then I will simply grab my schema and put it here. We will import Zod and then export form schema. And I will call this signUp. Perfect. And when I go to form, we now have some errors. So let's change form schema to signup schema and import this schema. Awesome. So we have now a types file that we can define our types. Okay, let's implement onSubmit button. What we want is when onSubmit is called, we want to call a function that saves our user into our database. For that, I will create an actions folder. In that actions folder, I will create a file out.actions.ts, which I like this naming. As our application grows, it makes things easier for us to understand. I will mark this file with use service so that we know all functions will run in the server, not exposed to outside. So here I will have sign up function and we will export it. And it will take some values. Its type will be the same with this. We will import Zod and our schema. So let's log it. Go back to here and call this sign up function and give our values. Let's see. I go here, open up our console, just type something. So we are seeing our values which logged out in the client. And if we take a look at the server console here, we can see that we also get this value in the server. In this function, we have username, password, and confirm password. And we are sure that password is the confirm password here. We need to hash this password here. Let's define a variable hashed password, and we will use Oslo package for the encryption. So I can say new argon2, okay, and it comes from Oslo/password package, and we will hash this, give it our password. So right now we have a hashed password, but since it's an async operation, as you can see, it returns a promise. We need to await it. We will make our function async so that we can wait for this function to be resolved. After that, we will generate a user ID using generate ID from Lucia. It expects a length, so we will give 15. Right now, we have a hashed password and our username is ready, user ID is ready. So let's call it our DB. I can say db.insert into userTable with the values of ID is here, username, and hash password. It's that easy. Let's return ID and username. Maybe we can use those information in a toast. Perfect. But we need to also wait this. So I put await. Let's wrap this function with try catch block. So if we get an error, we will simply return error.message. And let's give it any type. We have successfully created a user in our database, and now we need to create a session for it. We will call Lucia and import it from out file, and we have lots of functions. We will use create session and pass our user ID as it is expected. Then we can give some attributes to it. For example, expires in. So our session will be expired after 30 days. And it's an async operation. Create a variable and assign our result to it. We will use Lucia's create session cookie function and pass our session ID to this function. Now, as we have session cookie, we can just call cookies from next headers and set this session cookie dot name value and session cookie that's dot attributes. Then we can simply return success through data user ID. Perfect. We have completed our signup function. Let's make this function async and let's wait for the result and assign it to a variable like res. And we can just simply check if res.error exists. And we will import toast from ShadCN and variant will be destructive and description will be the res error. Otherwise, we will check for success, and if it's successful, variant will be default. Let's try it. Go to our application and type something and hit submit. Okay, nothing happens. Okay, we actually know that our function is being called sign up, but we don't see any toast. So yeah, I think I got the issue. So it's because we didn't put toast wrapper inside layout here. So we will put our toaster from ShadCN and we should see now some kind of, okay, it says duplicate key violates unit constraint. So it's probably we already created this account. So let's see. Yeah, username, admin, and hashed password. We have some password here. But if I, let's say, create another user, an account created successfully, perfect. So after creating our user, we need to redirect them to a protected root. So let's make root page is protected. For this, let's use router hook from Next.js 14. I will call it router and use router will be from next navigation. After this toast, we will call router.push and it will go to the root. And let's try it out. Admin2 and see we are now seeing the root page. So we have created a session and we can see that from application and cookies. We see that out session is there and it has some kind of value in it, right? And if we take a look at the Drizzle Studio, we can see that we actually have this, where is that? AGP value is here. How do we validate session is checking this value is exist in our session table and if it is not expired or not. So for that, they have a guide, validate session cookies in Next.js app router. So they have an example of this. We will grab it and copy. Then we will go to our out.lib that we have initialized our Lucia object and put it here. And we are caching this so that we don't send multiple requests to our database. And we import cache from React and next headers from cookies from next headers. They have a get user function, but we will change it a bit. So we need to validate the request, right? So let's call it validate request. And we get session ID from the cookies. If it is not exist, let's return user null and session null. We are validating session with Lucia and it returns a user and a session. And in here, if session exists and session fresh, we are creating a new session cookie and set this in the cookie. If there is no session, we create a blank cookie and set this blank cookie. And we will, instead of returning the user, we will return user and session as well. So we have now a validate request function and let's export it so that we can use it from other pages. As we want to make this page protected, so let's go to that page. In here, I can say that let's make this function async so that we can call our validate request. I will grab the user from, validate request that we created. And if user is not exist, we can call redirect from next navigation and to sign in page. And we want to return it. So let's refresh the page. As you can see, I can see that page. But if I remove this cookie, I should be redirected to sign in page, which we don't have a sign in page. We will have in a bit. Actually, let's create this one. I will copy sign up folder and paste it here, rename it as sign in. I will change this copy a bit sign into your account. And we have this sign up form, which I will again copy and paste it once more. Let's call it sign in. And we will only remove confirm password here and go to schemas and create a new one that we can remove confirm password, and let's remove the refine as well. Call it sign in schema, and we exported it so we can go to sign in form and use it instead of sign up schema. And everything seems okay, and we want to say sign in. Okay, no, sign in successfully. And let's go to here and remove this form field for confirm field. And okay, why it gives an error? Let's see. Username password is not assignable parameter of username password and confirm password. So where does that confirm password come? Oh, okay, it's because of this function. So let's go to here and create a new function for sign in. What we will do is create a new function sign in, which will be an async, and schema will sign in schema. In here, we will call our DB. We will query it to userTable, but we get an error. Property userTable does not exist. Seems like schema generic is missing. Did you forget add it to your DB? I think we did. db.ts, go to db.ts, and it says record string never. Okay, here Drizzle takes a config parameter that we can pass our schema here as well, and we can import our schemas like this, import a schema from our schema folder. And now we have an issue with this db typed any, and we can type this as it's a node pg database, which is type of schema. Okay, perfect. So when I go back to auth.actions and I type a dot, I can see our tables now. And db query user table, we will call find first. It's a function that takes a config parameter, and we can use where, and where it's a function that gets the table, we can return equal. This comes from Drizzle ORM, so we can check if two value is equals or not. And yeah, we just checked if this username is exist in our database. So assign it to a variable. We await the query to return. And if there is no existing user, we will return an error, user not found. If it passed this condition, which means that existing user is there. So we will check if is this password given is valid. So like this, and now it says hash password can be null. It's because if user logs in via Google or any other social account, we won't store hash password. Let's type an early return here. If hash password user not found, and now is valid, and now error is gone, and we can check if is valid password is a false value, we can return invalid password, or actually we shouldn't say that, we can say incorrect username or password, so we don't give any information about the user. If we pass this condition as well, which means that we need to log user in. That's why we will do the same thing that we did in signup function. Let's copy this and paste here. And user ID will be existing user ID. It is same, and we will return a success, and message will be logged in successfully. So let's go back to sign in form and change this with sign in, and the error is gone now. Perfect. So let's take a look at sign in page. It says sign into your account, but we have confirm password. I thought we removed it. Okay, we removed it, but oh, okay. So we need to go to the sign in page. Sign in page. It's still sign up form. It should be sign in form, but I think we didn't. Did we? Okay, we export as sign up form. It will be sign in form, and we will import it in the page. Yes, it says sign into your account. Perfect. So let's try it. Admin, and I click submit. Okay, what is going on? Let's take a look at application. Anything is here. I click on submit and nothing happens. Okay, it says cannot access blah blah before initialization. I wonder what we did. So let's take a look at out actions. Okay, so I have looked at the issue and fixed it, and let me tell you. So we were also exporting this adapter here, which uses the DB object here, but in our index.ts, we were initializing DB in here, which requires the schema, which we imported everything as schema, which was also importing the adapter as well, but adapter depends on DB, so that's why there was an issue. And I have just removed this and created an adapter file like adapter.ts and put it here. So in here, in index.ts, we only import the tables right now, and we don't need those as well. So that was the issue, but don't forget to update out.ts, update this path in out.ts where we use adapt. So let's take a look at the application. So when I click on submit, I get incorrect username or password. Let's try it again. It says, okay, we have signed it successfully, and we can refresh the page and I still see the root page. Lastly, let's implement logout functionality quickly. All we do is go to out.actions and create a new function called signOut. And we will get the session ID from the cookies. So um, we can actually use const session await validate request here that we implemented in out file. If there is no session, we can return an error, no session is found, or unauthorized. And after this, we will call Lucia an invalidate session, and we will give the session ID to it. After that, we will create a blank session cookie, and we will set the new cookie. It's that easy. And let's wrap all of these inside a try-catch block, and let's give it a type, error, any. And let's switch to page.tsx, which is our protected root, we can say. And let's also stringify the user, and we see that it's protected root. And let's define a form here, just a quick form, and we will have a button, sign out. We will have a type of submit, and we will have an action here and we will call sign out function. And it's that easy, beautiful. Now we have a credentials login, and we can log in or log out. If I logged in and try to go to a sign in page, I can still see this page, which doesn't make sense since I have a session. So let's fix it finally and close this and finish this video. Sign in page, I can validate the request and make this a sync. And if there is no user, I can just return a redirect. You can see that if I try to go to sign in page, I am redirected to protected root. And you can do the same thing for sign up page as well. We will do the same thing for here as well. Let's import this, make us a sync, and import redirect from next navigation. See, let's try to go to the protected route. I am redirected to sign in, but if I sign in, I get signed in successfully and I can go back. Perfect. And thank you for watching. I will also record a tutorial about how can we add Google sign-in functionality, but it will be in a later video. Okay, take care. Bye bye.